الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شأنه كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فاني ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنام سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يمحق الله الربا ويربي الصدقات والله لا يحب كل كفار أثيم. صلوات. As I stated last week that inshallah we are going to move to next topic, but to conclude it, there are some questions people ask me, so I would like to just answer those questions quickly in this khutbah of today, so that we can inshallah conclude this topic of Qard al-Hasana and move to next subject. One of the questions was that what is the difference between Qard al-Hasana and the loan that today we get from the banks or credit cards, and what is the ruling, Islamic ruling on that? First of all, there is no comparison between these two. Yes, both of them are qard, both of them are loan. You getting loan from an individual as Qard al-Hasana, and you taking loan from a bank or credit card, or from an individual or someone as loan with interest. Interest in Islam is not permissible. This everybody knows. Riba usually is haram and strongly condemned. There are so many ayat in Quran about riba. There is an ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 75 and 76, in which Quran says that the people say, إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. Any trading is just like riba. So what is the difference between riba and we do the business and we sell or buy something? We give money and we take something. So when we're buying, we're paying the same thing here. So we we're buying money for money. Sometimes you buy something for money, here money for money. And it has just the time issue is involved, and based on the time, the charges are more. That's it. So what is the difference? So Allah says, أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. There is difference for sure, because in riba, the main reason why Islam has forbidden riba is that the creditor takes the advantage of borrower's helplessness and situation and financial need. He manipulates his needs to his own interest. Another difference is that in qard al-hasana, when you give qard, so the debtor who is receiving the qard, of course, according to the contract, he has to return the amount on time, but if he could not, as we discussed last week, if you remember. So what is recommended in Islam? That the creditor should give him more time to pay off his debt. In usury system, in interest system of the qard, if you don't pay on time, more interest will be charged. So it will be interest on interest. And this way, one day, a person who is helpless and he cannot pay off, he will not be able at all to pay the entire amount. And many people are just paying, even, I think everybody in this country is paying just interest. Many people are just paying only interest. In the houses, when you buy a house, for 30 years, for 50 years, you pay, for 15 years, you pay interest. Almost interest only. Very little amount of your principal goes into your account. Who lives in one house for 30 years? So you sell the house, you buy a new house for more 30 years. So the whole life goes in just paying interest. And when somebody dies, the house is not his. The house is still owned by the bank. So what he has done in his life, he has worked for other people, for companies. Yes, he had a good house, good living. Yeah, this is true. But he worked very hard. So if you're asking what is the difference between usury and qard al-hasana, why Islam forbids usury, forbids interest, so I can ask, what is the difference between the slavery today and slavery back in the history? They also would buy slaves. They are not buying us, but they would buy the slaves, they would own the slaves and give them a house to live and food to eat and anything they needed, and just tell them to work for them. You need to just from the morning to the evening work for me, and I will, this is your house, you stay here, and this is your food, you eat here. And there is some extra money for you if you want to buy something for yourself, it's fine. Today is advanced slavery. Not telling you are a slave, you're telling you, no, you're free. But you have to work for me all your life. The more you work, the more money you will get, the more fun you might have in your life. So, Islam forbids usually just because it has, anyway, something that you can, if you are just person, you will say no. Taking the advantage of somebody's helplessness is never allowed in Islam, or in any, I think any, human society, or the societies who are based on human values. So there are so much more to say, but since today we are concluding the topic, I don't want to enter into more details about the riba, because in riba you see, you will find, if you reflect on it, no good, but something that is based on dhulm. Now I say, then what we can do? We are living here in this country. If I don't buy a house on interest, or where I should go? Yes. So this is your helplessness. When it is your helplessness, here Islam has two ahkam. One order is called hukmul awwali, the first order. How you should pray? When you stand up, you should stand up, then do the ruku, do the sajda. This is the way how you should pray. If somebody cannot stand up, now he is helpless. He cannot stand up. So now Islam gives him hukm thanawi, the secondary ordinance. It is called hukm thanawi. In this hukm thanawi, based on our helplessness, Islam says, okay, fine, you cannot stand up, then you can sit and pray. The same thing here. I cannot buy a house. When I cannot buy a house, but I need a house, fine, you go to the bank and take it. It's still here. إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Everything based on niyat. Niyat of a person is based for anything he does. So according to Ayatollah Sistani's fatwa, he has used a new term he has used, which explains so much in it. He says istinqadh. With the niyat of istinqadh, with the niyat is istinqadh means what? Means when you go to the bank and they are offering you an amount to give you as a credit, and you accept it, you're just accepting it. Your intention is that this amount is a qard. I'm taking this qard. Now, when you are giving them back, they are charging interest. Can you deny the interest? No. When you cannot deny the interest, then fine. You have to give them the interest. You are not giving them the interest willingly, but helplessly. First. The second is, other Maraji have another thing to say. Ayatollah Sistani also. He says when you buy a house, so when you say the time, for example, for 30 years, this much amount. For 15 years, this much you have to pay. So consider the whole amount as the price. Don't look what is on paper. See what is real in reality. Your house is, for example, for $100,000, but after you pay for 30 years, you're paying the interest plus the principal, it will, the amount you will be paid by the time will be, let's say, $300,000. So you consider this $300 $300,000 is the price of the house. That's it. So it's based on the niyat. Because originally, this is the truth. That since you cannot pay before $30, 30 years, and you're paying until this period of amount, and they say, okay, if you pay it for this period of amount, we'll charge this much. It means the price of the house is this much. So I'm paying the price. I'm not paying interest. They call it interest. It is their problem. Okay. How about credit cards? Credit cards, if you use credit cards unnecessarily, it is not jais, because here there is no loophole. Of course, no loophole in Islamic laws at all. So you cannot say, oh no, I'm taking this as, yes, really, if you are a needy person, or you think that you cannot borrow money from individuals, and this is easy for you, and you are paying it off easily without letting them charge you much interest, then it's fine. And especially there are some people who they are very smart, smarter than the credit card companies, that they use the credit card and they use the points and don't pay interest. There are people who told me how to do it. So you need to be smart enough, even get rid of haram and also get rid of wasting your money. There are ways how to do it. So this is one question that was asked, about the interest. If you have any more questions, inshallah, I will be happy to answer those questions. Another question was, I think the time is over, so maybe, inshallah, I will cover these questions later on someday, and we have to finish today this topic of Qard al-Hasana. That's why I'm going to, inshallah, postpone the questions I received for maybe Thursdays, inshallah, I will explain them. Not much questions, and they are very easy questions. Let me go and very quickly, in 5 minutes, conclude what we discussed in almost 10 weeks. 10 weeks we discussed what? Helping one another. You should have the spirit of helping people. How you help? You can help through sadaqah, charity. The charity is zakat, khum, sadaqah, and means either wajib or mustahab. In any way you can help people. There is another way to help them, and it is qard, to give them loan. Giving loan for the person who is giving is better than giving sadaqah. We discussed this. Okay, so these are the conclusions I'm saying. For the creditor, for the person who is giving qard al-hasana, is highly recommended to, means Allah is going to give him ad'afan, so much, so many fold in return, in this dunya and akhirat, both. Allah is going to increase his rizq in this dunya, and He is going to give him so much reward in the akhirah if you give qard al-hasana to somebody who is needy. If a needy person comes to you and you are able to give him qard al-hasana and you don't give him qard al-hasana, the hadith says that such a person will not even be able to smell the fragrance of Jannah. Why? Because you are able, Allah gave you something and you are not sharing it with other needy people. This is for creditor. So much recommendations, so much ahadith. On the other hand, for the borrower and for the debtor, that he has to pay the amount on time, honestly. If he could not pay the amount on time, Now it is recommended for the creditor that he should give him time, or for him to politely come and ask for more time, not to ignore it, not to disappear, not to be harsh with him, with the creditor. Rather, with akhlaq, go and ask him for more time and say sorry for him because you did not pay it on time. If after receiving the time still you could not pay it, Islam says, listen, as long as you are maqroob, madyun, you have then, you cannot do wajibat, even mustahabbat. Mustahabbat, even wajibat, like hajj. Hajj is not wajib for you until you pay off this debt that you have on it. And if, Allah forbid, somebody dies and he is maqroof, none of his a'mal is accepted unless this qard is given back. How he can give it back now? How can he pay this qard? So, in ayat of Quran in which Quran speaks about mirath, about heritage. So Quran says that the heirs should give the money which is due on the borrower, on the mayyit, before they distribute the mirath. من بعد وصية يوصي بها أو دين. So all what Islam speaks and Quran talks about distribution of mirath, it is all after wasiyat and after dain. Dain means qard. So you have to pay all this. And then see the importance of paying the qard back, how much it is important. You can find it in du'as. There are so many ad'iyah, so many du'a in which you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you able to pay all your qard. So qard is so much important. If you have any, first of all, giving qard is recommended. Taking qard and loan is discouraged in Islam. We also discussed this. So many points we discussed about qard al-hasana. In conclusion, this was the conclusion, and in the end, I would like to again remind you that as a community, if really we want a progress, keep this in mind. We cannot have any kind of progress in education, economically, or even spiritually, like this centers. In any field, no progress unless we help one another. Helping each other, ta'awunu ala al-birri wa taqwa, on righteousness and piety, we have to help one another. And this is one of the way how we can help one another. If you see somebody is needy, he needs to do a business, but he doesn't have money, he has the skills, give him some money. He has money, but he doesn't have the skills, share your skills with him. Help him, educate him. Whatever ni'mat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, this bounty, share it with others. When you share with one another, help one another, you will see that in every area, inshallah, this community will show a good progress and success. So success lies in helping one another. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq and ability to fulfill this obligation of helping one another. إن أحسن الحديث وأبلغ الموعظة كتاب الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.